XebiaLabs is a fast and easy way to install the XebiaLabs DevOps Platform in a highly available, highly scalable setup running on Kubernetes. You can use XebiaLabs to install the XebiaLabs DevOps Platform on your local computer, on a multi-node Kubernetes cluster, or in the cloud on Amazon EKS or Google GKE. This video will walk you through the process of installing the XebiaLabs DevOps Platform in an existing Kubernetes cluster. We'll use the Advanced Setup option, which allows you to customize many properties of the installation. Before getting started, you need to prepare a few things. You'll need to download the XebiaLabs command line interface from the XebiaLabs software distribution site. You'll also need licenses for XeldDeploy and XelRelease. If you don't already have licenses, you can sign up for a free trial at XebiaLabs.com. Be sure to note the full path to the location where you've saved the license files. You'll need that information later. In addition, you need the location and password of a Java key store that will be used to encrypt secrets in the XeldDeploy and XelRelease repositories. If you don't already have a key store, you can use the Java key tool command line tool to generate one. You'll also need a Kubernetes configuration file that will allow the XebiaLabs CLI to install software in your Kubernetes cluster. Finally, you must set up an NFS share where XeldDeploy and XelRelease can store exported data outside of the database. If you install XeldDeploy, you'll be asked to specify the number of master nodes and worker nodes you want to spin up and how they should be configured. For information about XeldDeploy's master worker setup, visit docs.XebiaLabs.com. You'll also be asked to set the persistent volume size for data stored on the NFS share. The export directory is the location where XeldDeploy will store deployment packages that users export from the server. And the work directory is where XeldDeploy will temporarily store data that cannot be kept in memory, such as large binary files that need to be deployed. If you install XelRelease, you'll be asked to specify how the XelRelease pods should be configured. You'll also be asked to set the persistent volume size for the directory where XelRelease will store generated release audit reports on the NFS share. After you've satisfied the prerequisites, it's time to dive in. At a command prompt, type XelUp to start the XebiaLabs command line interface. Select the Advanced Setup mode, and then select the plain multi-node Kubernetes option. To start, indicate the Kubernetes context you'd like to use for installation. By default, the CLI will look at the current context in the Kubernetes config file in your home directory. Then, XelUp needs to know where to find the XebiaLabs DevOps Platform software. Answer no to pull the software directly from XebiaLabs. Next, choose whether you want to install XeldDeploy and/or XelRelease, and select the versions you'd like to install. If you already have a database where you want XeldDeploy and XelRelease to store their data, you can provide the connection details here. To create a new Postgres database, answer no. If you've chosen to install XeldDeploy, the CLI will automatically generate a password for the XeldDeploy admin user. If you'd like to set a different password, you can do so here. Next, XelUp needs information about your desired setup for XeldDeploy masters, XeldDeploy workers, and data storage outside of the database. The CLI provides recommended defaults for a highly available setup, but you can customize these settings to fit your usage. Specify the number of XeldDeploy masters that you'd like to spin up, and set the RAM requests, RAM limits, CPU requests, and CPU limits for them. Then specify the number of XeldDeploy workers that you'd like to spin up, and set the RAM and CPU requests and limits for them. Next, configure the volume size for the export directory, and the volume size for the work directory. Next, enter the full path to your XeldDeploy license file. The CLI will verify that it can find the license file in the location you specify. Then, specify how you would like the XeldDeploy database to be configured: the database name, username, and password. Again, the CLI will automatically generate a password for you. If you've chosen to install XelRelease, the CLI will automatically generate a password for the XelRelease admin user. If you'd like to change the password, you can do so here. Then, enter the full path to your XelRelease license file. The CLI will verify that it can find the license file in the location you specify. Next, specify how you'd like the XelRelease database to be configured: the database name, username, and password. Again, the CLI will automatically generate a password for you. Do the same for the XL Release Report database, which is where archived releases will be stored. Then specify the RAM requests and limits and CPU requests and limits for the XL Release pods, and configure the volume size for the reports directory. Then provide the full path to your Java key store, and enter the key store password. Next, provide the location and share path of the NFS share where the export, work, and reports directories will be located. Next, it's time to decide whether you want to set up monitoring for the XebiaLabs DevOps Platform. Answer yes to install Grafana dashboards, Prometheus for event monitoring and alerting, and Elasticsearch for data storage. Specify a persistent volume size for each one, and how long you want to store monitoring data, and create a username and password to access the monitoring data. Finally, if you've opted to have XLUp create a database for XL Deploy and XL Release, you must specify parameters for configuring the Postgres database: max connections, shared buffers, cache size, synchronous transaction commit, and maximum write-ahead log size. And that's it! XLUp immediately starts to spin up the XebiaLabs DevOps platform. You'll have access to all of the configuration details in the CLI, including passwords that were generated for users. When the XebiaLabs DevOps platform is available for use, you'll see the URLs where you can access the graphical user interface. Open a URL in your browser and log in with the username admin and the appropriate password. You can now use the XebiaLabs DevOps platform for all of your release orchestration and deployment automation needs. If you prefer to install the XebiaLabs DevOps platform on a cloud-based Kubernetes management solution, you can use the Quick Setup option or the Advanced Setup option for Amazon EKS or Google GKE. To learn more, visit docs.xebialabs.com.